Welcome to the Fence and Deck Mastery Podcast, where we discuss cutting-edge techniques, industry trends, and business insights to take your fence or deck company to the next level and dominate your competition. Welcome back to this show, everybody. Welcome back to the Fence and Deck Mastery Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Danner, and the owner and founder of Fence and Deck Marketers, which is a marketing agency that works only with fencing and decking businesses. And today I have another great episode for you, continuing the trend of from the Summit Awards. Went there, I guess it was probably over a month now. And as I've said in previous podcasts, was just blown away by everything that they did and really just the event that NADRA put on. So, been having a lot of fun with these episodes and have another one today that I'm excited for. And today I have Dan Stendeback. I think I said it right. We were talking about, I think I pronounced it right. The owner of Valer Builders. And Dan was another award winner at the NADRA Awards, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But Dan, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. How's it going, man?
Oh, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely. And excited to dig into this a little bit deeper. So Dan, you're in Virginia, right? So you're in Alexandria?
Yes, sir. So we are in we were in Alexandria, Virginia. Now we're located in Fairfax, Virginia. So we're right here in the greatest county to ever pull a permit in the entire United States, Fairfax County, Virginia. I know all my deck builder friends would agree with that. So if you can get a permit in Fairfax County, you can pretty much do it anywhere. So.
Okay. Yeah. So I was about to say, I figured it's pretty tough there. I wouldn't have thought it would be the easiest one.
Yeah. Well, that's what Sean Miller said to me when he came up to, we were at one of the NADRA events. We were at the summit. He's just like, Fairfax, Virginia. If you can get it done there, you can get it done anywhere. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that. Is that part of Fairfax is a county too, right? Fairfax.
Yeah, it's the Fairfax County. It's basically the Fairfax County typical deck detail. Pretty much encompasses about 38 states across the country. So basically it says that it's the Fairfax County typical deck detail, just pretty much put with Alexandria or Arlington or wherever else. It's all based on that typical deck detail.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I actually lived in Fairfax for, I don't know, maybe 4 or so months after college when I was trying to get a job with as a software engineer. That was like kind of what I first started doing, like coding and whatnot. So I lived in a small apartment there, but yeah, I grew up in Spencerville, Maryland, so it's not terribly far from you guys. But anyways, so with Dan, like I said, we'll talk about the awards here in a second, but wanted to promote him and continue to help NADRA out and try to get more people to sign up that aren't part of it, because I think everybody I've spoken to is just kind of blown away by the experience and meeting the Beaudries and how great they are. So would love to just get help them out, and I think genuinely anybody that's a deck builder should be joining NADRA too, because it is going to help you out too, and just having that network, and you can also win the awards and stuff too. But I did since Dan and I met for the first time today, before the podcast, I always got to look at the website and social media, but it looks like you're doing a pretty good job taking pictures. Are you hiring somebody to do that?
Yes, we are. So I have a digital media person who goes out and takes high quality photos of the projects we do. I mean, that's probably why we won or placed in our award, because it was the pictures were breathtaking. I mean, this the project itself, I mean, it took a lot just to engineer the framing underneath, because we were dealing with such an old property. It was like basically engineering a level deck frame with a surface that was just bumpy, right? So we had to basically engineer this pedestal deck frame to put the TimberTech decking on flush, but it just turned out beautifully. I mean, you could see the Washington Monument from one side, and then you see the Roslyn skyline from the other. And I haven't seen this because I haven't done a lot of international travel, but I know people who've said to me who have. There's very few places on earth that are as beautiful as Virginia in November. So it was really good to be able to capture it during those times.
You said the monument was in the background of the deck?
Yeah. So on one side, there's the Roslyn skyline, and then on the other side, you can see the Washington Monument.
Oh, wow. That's quite
it's pretty cool.
Then.
Yeah, it's really awesome. It was two townhouses, and these townhouses were like 4 level, huge townhouses right in Georgetown. And the previous owner took down, bought the other one, and then took down the wall, so it created one. So you're talking about like a 1,200 square foot, area of deck on the top level, the rooftop deck. It's
Wow.
really
Yeah,
spectacular.
that's huge.
Yeah.
Jeez. That's not your typical townhouse then.
No,
A big one.
no. And like I wanted to we entered a bunch of projects. I mean, all the projects are just mind blowing, talking to some of the older guard at NADRA, it really like helps put things in perspective, because you got these guys that have just been have are like legends in the industry, and their their knowledge is just so valuable, because these guys were the ones selling, a million gross when it was all like wood decks, pine decks
Yeah.
back in the 80s and stuff. And it's just like, whoa. So guys like the Sean Millers, they've seen it just evolve, over the course of the past 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
And um, NADRA is just such a critical piece in kind of displaying that, so that people can kind of see like what the actual possibilities are for your outdoor space. I mean, just the ideas, like bringing the indoors outdoors, right? Like people bringing up, doing a lot of AV lighting. We're putting
Yeah.
pergolas and uh, uh, overhangs, like patio coverings with Magnatrack drop screens, and we got TVs coming up from swimming pools and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's just incredible, and it's going to keep growing. It's going to keep
Yeah.
going. I mean, Australia has their Deck and Railing Association. I
Yeah.
feel like this
Those
is
are,
going to be more of an international type thing down the road for sure, right?
yeah. Yeah. That couple there, I wish I remembered their name, but they were amazing too. The Australian couple. Had fun talking with them. But yeah, I I mean, I've only been part of NADRA for I guess over a year now, but I'm obviously like in the industry, but I'm not a deck builder, so a lot of stuff I'm learning about and I find interesting too. But I guess what blows is always blowing my mind is um, the fact that like outdoor living was not that big. I mean, not as big as it is now before COVID. Because in my mind, I mean, when we bought our house, we have a big deck. It's 1,600 square feet, and like that was the first thing that I was thinking about. Like my wife is on the inside. I guess that's maybe typical, the kitchen and all the stuff like that. And I'm like, what's outside? And that was the first thing that comes to mind always, because I like being outside, even though I'm strapped to a computer all day, with my industry. But every other, all the rest of the time that I spend is always outside. So I guess it was just surprising to hear that it only started blowing up, after COVID, and people started wanting to do that, because I always assumed that everyone thought like me, I guess, and just wanted to be outside and have a nice outdoor patio or a nice deck or whatever, pool.
Sure,
So that was
sure.
kind of surprising.
I mean, a lot of clients too, it seems like they just it's something that they just never thought about before, right? So even like with my sales approach, like I'm very much like a consultative salesperson. Like, you mentioned sales. Like I've been an executive level salesperson my whole life, like I started in selling IT infrastructure for over 13 years, like globally. So uh I have this I have this thing where I don't really like, it's not that I don't care anymore, but there's just like there's a looseness about it. It's more like I'm going to give you information,
Yeah.
and then based on the information I'm going to give you or research you've done, Mr. Client, like you can then make a decision, right?
Yep.
And then I just want to help along with that decision realistically, because a lot of people, and myself included, I can't really, if I talk about it, I can't see, it takes me a minute to kind of see it, right? And so really like painting that picture, it's like, maybe you don't know you could have like a little screened in porch area right here with a patio, and then have like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
like a little cabana pergola with drop screens to keep the mosquitoes down or something. I mean, maybe you
Yeah.
just have never thought about that, right?
Yeah.
It
Absolutely.
kind of makes it, what you mentioned, COVID. Like, I mean, I was sitting at my house, like looking around at all the imperfections and what was going on. So it kind of like exacerbated these ideas. Like they were just like, well, maybe we could take we take this wall out and put a sliding glass door and then a deck off it. You know what I mean? Like they then dry space underneath here. So that way we can stay out here when it's raining, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
Like your mind starts moving, and with the outdoor living industry and the space, like just the materials that are being used,
Yeah.
the lighting, like some of those lighting projects at the awards were just like, how do you judge that? Like there's all these like
Oh
fiber
my gosh.
optics underneath,
Yeah.
they're literally creating a almost like a water stone, you know what I mean? I was like,
Yeah, we
what?
brought I brought Dan Pettit on the podcast 2 days ago. He was the one that won first for those illuminations. That stuck out to me too. Like the in-light lights, he had like 1,000 of them, I think. I'm like, it would have never even crossed my mind that was something you could do. But
Right.
that blew and to your point too, that you were saying like, people just don't really know what they want. Like it's such a good point. Like, the I think you do. Do you do louvered pergolas, louvered
We,
roofs?
we we do everything outdoors. Yeah, we do
Okay,
the decks, fence. I mean, we do the pour concrete. We're dabbling in pools. I just quoted out our first pool last month, so we're expanding. Yeah, pergolas,
nice.
all that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody really knows. Very few residential like homeowners have any idea those exist. Like, I know I wouldn't if I wasn't in the industry, but like that alone is so much better than your traditional pergola. Like, I have a pergola in our house. It's just your traditional wood, and it's basically useless. Like, it's like the dumbest thing ever to me. That somebody put it up. It kind of looks good, I guess, but it's not functional whatsoever. So, but kind of the point I wanted to make, and what you were saying earlier, if you show them different things like that and you can create a really nice 3D design and kind of paint the picture of what their outdoor space could look like, if their budget's a little bit flexible. I've heard other deck builders on the podcast say a lot of times they'll see it and be like, oh my gosh, I want that. And if you leave it just up to the customer to kind of do what they want, it's likely going to be limited and nowhere close to what you could show them and show off the different opportunities they could have. So I always wondered if a lot of deck builders are doing that, or if they just strictly give them exactly what they asked for, or if they maybe give like two different options, one that's kind of what they were saying, and then maybe give another option or two of like a little bit more of elaborate design that they think would look good. I don't know, do you have any thoughts on that, like how you do it
Yeah.
or have heard?
Yeah, no, so it's a little different for me just because when I go in and I'm in someone's living room, like I have more autonomy to do that. I can say, well, hey, what about just throwing out, what about a two-tone option, right? Like why don't we put an espresso on the outside of a sea salt gray and create some contrast, and
Yeah.
then have the same espresso on the top rail or whatever, if we're going to reskin a front porch or redo a deck or whatnot, just to change it just a little bit. It's not going to change the cost. And it'll add just like a little bit of specialty to it, right? Make it stick out a little more. Some people are extremely creative. I notice this with interior designers too, and it's kind of been funny because the more combative an interior designer is, it's almost like the more in demand they are, because it's like, oh, they're just so good at what they do because they just tell the client what would look good, right?
Yeah.
Or what they're looking for. Or the clients may be able to give them a concept or a contemporary look or a rustic look, whatever, and then they're able to kind of have autonomy to do what they're doing, right? It's a little bit different for us, I mean, I don't know. My approach might be different from the guy who's not a sales guy, right? He might just be the deck builder, and he's just like, well, this is how it's supposed to be done, and pop, 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 right? With me too, it's like there's just so many different ways I can go. I mean, if I start off with aluminum framing, right? If I lead with aluminum, let's say, right? Because it's just a far superior product, it makes perfect sense that I'd be putting a PVC deck board on an aluminum frame rather than a pine frame, just from like a structural standpoint, just from an
Yeah.
integrity through the first, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Because what I'm finding is that the cost of the frame itself, um, even with like, even if you built a frame with like 2 by 12 or something, right? Like multiply that by 3, and then that is the cost of the aluminum frame deck, right? Like usually we're framing out with like 2 by 8, 2 by 10, right? Doubling it out, blocking everything out so the joists don't move, and we're picture framing everything in so that outer joist is protected, right? We're putting moisture barrier tape on top of all of our joists. We're protecting the frame, essentially, is like the main goal in building this composite deck. Because if we do not do that, if we don't wrap the post, right, so there's no ground contact, if we don't do all these things like the moisture barrier tape, etc., it's going to rot out
Yeah.
before that composite deck or that PVC deck material has reached its life end of its life expectancy. So,
Huge pain too. And then you got to rip up all the boards and then
could
never
you
bring
imagine like
it
hiring a deck company and they don't picture frame it in and they don't put moisture barrier tape on it, and 8 years
Yeah.
down the road you're going to have to take apart and build, like you're basically building the deck over again. You can't
Yeah.
expect another company to come in and not expect to be paid for a full build, because that's what it'd be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's a good.
so yeah, so like even with like the composite framing and stuff, all the stuff that's coming out, the new products and stuff, it's kind of interesting to go in. It really just depends on what kind of client. If you're going into a client that has disposable income and an open mind, then you can have a little more creativity. But
Yeah.
a townhouse, they're looking for a pine deck to HOA, whatever. Maybe there's a tenant in there, right? It's just a
Yeah.
matter of motive.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine in your market, I mean, I know, I guess Northern Virginia, like that area, it's, close to DC. I mean, do you typically find a lot of people with open minds and, able to, do some nice projects and get creative with them?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the Great Falls area is a great area. We just had a complete design build job finish in Alexandria off of Rollins Road, right there where West Braddock. It's right there where the Masonic Temple is, right? We're actually going to meet
Yeah.
today for another tear out design build where, I mean, these are projects ranging anywhere between like 100 and 250,000, right?
Nice. Nice.
And it could even get bigger. I mean, a lot of people too, the working from home things kind of happened and up in the air in some situations, but people were looking to get like ADU buildings, like have like a auxiliary building outside, so that way maybe they wake up and get their coffee and, all right, honey, I'm off to work, and then they just walk outside in their backyard and like walk into their home base office that's outside of the scope of the kids and the day to day and the bustle, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah, absolutely.
putting greens, swimming pools, all that. It's just like the possibility is endless, because I mean you could put a deck or a screened porch and a deck and then have like a pool house. We could put a pool house outside like where the pool is, and then have a pool house with a little bar area and stuff, right? Like it gets to a point where it's like, are we going to open a restaurant at our house when we do this? This is like like we're basically providing like a little mini resort area,
Yeah.
for these clients, which is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, shoot, just seeing the different, just the different projects that were shown on there. I mean, especially once you get into like the limitless ones, you're like, yeah, wow. You never, I mean, it's just insane what some guys are building or what people, can afford, I guess, too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
because I mean, people are putting patio coverings. They're building their pools, their outdoor pools, and then we put the pool covering over it. So you have a roofed area, or maybe skylights or whatnot, or a louvered area, like a full, like a structured pergola over a pool, right? And then it has like the drop screens. It
yeah,
turns into something you could literally use like year round. You can put heaters out, right? Like it's like literally something you could go swimming or whatever in like October, or
yeah,
November.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So what award did you win this
Uh,
time?
we we placed second in the alternative deck category, 35 and under.
Okay. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny when when you're talking about winning that award, before we got on here, you were saying how you, I know you're big into, I forget the term you use. I like say visualizing. I do visualization and stuff like that. Manifesting, I think you said.
Manifesting. Yeah. Yeah.
I love to hear that. That's getting bigger and bigger, on the different podcasts I listen to and social media and whatnot. So, if you want to tell that story, that was a funny one or a good, a good
Yeah.
one.
Nah, sure. Like, I think it's Jim Rohn or one of those where it's like, the best work you can do is on yourself, and so for me personally, like, especially over the past 2 years, I've implemented a lot of meditation
Hmm.
into my daily rituals, right? So like every morning you have your routine, very, very important. So basically it's like going into like more of like an activation ritual to get into a flow state. So that way I'm not bombarded with like little thoughts of thinking to like help me procrastinate during the day or
Yeah.
something, right?
Oh yeah.
So, these are just all tools, like the prayer, meditation, reading. I really embraced soaking in a lot of learning over the past 3 years too. I mean, I've read more books in the past 3 years than I did in the past like 10, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy and expansive. But once you start getting into like meditation and stuff like that, you start spinning into things like manifestation and thanking the universe. The Alchemist is a really great book that I would highly recommend anybody
That one.
read. I mean, it's about it's about listening to the universe and following your true purpose, and
Nice.
we're all doing these things based on our life experience or what's happened. Some of us sit still and don't listen to the universe and end up right where we're left, but then others are blessed enough to actually have that and do it. So like um I literally manifested it. I mean, starting in September, I thank the universe for helping me become an award-winning deck builder. I mean, I was manifesting it to the point where I could actually feel the plaque in my hand, right? I
Nice.
visualized driving there. I visualized walking up, right? I didn't have a speech written, you know what I mean? But even like manifesting it, I thought to myself, okay, well, even if it doesn't happen this year, maybe it's meant to happen the following year or the year after that, right? It's not something to discourage you to say if it doesn't happen, then the universe like, slapped your hand away or something, right? But sometimes it actually works. And, so I'm driving to this thing and I rented a Shelby GT Mustang thinking, you know what? I'm going to go down to Clearwater. I'm going to hang out with my buddy who lives down there for a week and his family. It's going to be great. I'm going to rent a sports car and be cool, right? And
Yeah.
so I'm driving to the NADRA event and I'm driving and all of a sudden, when you're driving, you're like, do I have a flat tire? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hear that
So
thump.
I pull over and I'm just like, dude, so there's no spare in this car. So I had to call Hertz and Hertz rent a car, by the way, if you're a gold member, they take care of their people. Plug to Hertz, right?
Yeah.
Um, they picked me up within like 20 minutes. They had a tow truck there, had me at the airport, switched me into a Dodge Charger Hemi. So now I'm driving in a Dodge Charger Hemi to the NADRA gala, and I'm an hour and a half late. And like I was telling you, I was I got a plate, like it was like everyone had already like eaten and finishing up, and I like squeeze in with Andy with
In-house decks.
hen house decks and his family and another family were there, and I got to sit there and eat with them for a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's like the awards are coming on and everything. So I go sit with Matt Peterson and who's he if people know him and NADRA and his family, I guess. And I was talking to him, and when the alternative deck category came up, I leaned up and I was like, "Hey, what's an alternative deck?" I was like, "Hey, what's an alternative deck?" And he was like facing forward, so he wasn't like looking at me or anything. And he just like did one of these numbers, where he's just like, "Oh yeah, it's a composite deck." Like, and he's looking at me, and I'm like, oh. And then they're like, second place, Valer Builders. And I was like, is that an alternative deck, Matt? I was trying to get him to come up with me. I was trying to get him and one of his employees. I was like, come on, dude, let's go. Get up here. Because Wally, he won an award too earlier that night. And then, they recognized the Australian couple, and uh, when Wally went up there, the picture they chose of the award, it kind of like threw you off because it was just of a small aspect of the job that he had done, that he had submitted. And the same thing happened to me, and the same thing happened to the Australian guy who had like swept the Australian award. They're like, he's like, there's a bit more to this. Like, there's just a little bit more to this project. But when you go online and you look at them, I mean, I would suggest everybody go look at all the projects, because some of these photos, like, you get a lot more of the depth of the actual project, right? And
Yeah.
it's phenomenal. So yeah, so yeah, man. So we went up there and got the award, and it was just so great because my wife, who had stayed home, we had just had we just had Killian. He's 6 months old, and she's like, "It's not a place for
Congrats.
a baby." So thank you. And so she stayed home, and they broadcasted it, web streamed it or whatever, and she was able to see it happen and stuff. And it's just a proud moment, man. It is.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
to be recognized like
Absolutely,
that
man.
is truly an honor, to say the least, to be in such company, because some of those awards and even past award winners, I mean, these guys, I mean, we talk about it mentioned Andy with the henhouse decks. He had the guitar deck, like he
Yeah.
has a
Yeah. I
guitar
always
deck
remember
that's
that
like,
one.
dude, I'm telling you, man, these guys, they're talented, man. These are the top 5% of outdoor living contractors in the country.
Yeah.
And it's really just like the great minds in this, in NADRA too. Like, I mean, these guys are all, you literally have like a, like a place where some of the best minds in outdoor living over the past 30 years can fellowship, and share ideas. And it can only allow for more good ideas to come.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I mean, I think, like I said earlier, everybody that's a deck builder really should. I mean, it's not that expensive either. I mean,
Nope.
talk with Pops, and I think a lot of people tell him to increase it, and probably is a, I don't know if he will or not, but it's very, very reasonably priced for what you get out of it, especially if you make the most of it and go to the awards and all that. But okay,
Sure.
I mean, did you win your first year? I think you said this is your second. Is this your first?
No, no, yeah. First year, I was just kind of figuring it out.
Okay.
Trying to remember her name, but one of the ladies, after we had won, I was actually standing there with Matt, and she had come up. I believe her name is Julie. I believe her and her husband had won a award as well the previous year, and then this past year. And she was like, "Yeah, I remember you and your wife. You were just here, just trying to figure it out." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, we were here just kind of dipping our toe in and kind of see, you know, what we should do." Because, like, my business mentor, his name's Chuck Hall. He's owner of Winston's Chimney Service here in Manassas, Virginia, and he's the leader in his industry in this area. He is the top dog. He is cleaning the chimneys at the White House in Camp David. That's
Oh
who he
wow.
is, right? Yeah,
Nice.
he's that guy, right? So his business is way like different as far as model goes, the service business to my business, but um, he told me to find an association and join that association, and then one day become president of that association, is what he put it. And uh, I don't know if that is in the cards for me. I'm not, but I haven't manifested that yet. But what I will say is that it's just been a blessing to find NADRA, really. And then just the programs that they offer, the connections that they offer with the legacy decks trainings, seeing what it's done for some of the business owners that have maybe had a little trouble adjusting to the business side of business, right?
Yep.
Or
Yeah.
trying to stay ahead of the curves, and innovation, and bringing in leads, and all that kind of stuff. So um, it's just an amazing resource. And the Pop says familia, and people might look at that as a little cheesy or whatever. Sometimes I did it the first time I was there last year, but then after you see what they do and you see how they move, it's evident. It's authentic.
Yeah.
It's for real. So it's cool. It really is.
Yeah. Yep. I always think back to this moment when I was leaving, or maybe it was the last night I was at the summit. I saw Pops. He was going to, I think his whole family came in, and he was just kind of on his way to the hotel room or wherever they were basically giving like Christmas gifts because this was right after Christmas, and I just remember his like the smile on his face, like when he was saying what he was doing, like hanging out with his family and doing gifts. It always like was ingrained in my mind, like just how happy he was, and like I don't know, it kind of relates to what you said. Everything is, he says familia and all that, but like it, you can see it when you, I guess, when you meet him like that. It's very, very genuine, and that is what he is most important to him, I guess. His immediate family, but then the whole decking family and stuff too. So I don't know why that one just like really stuck out to me. It was kind of a cool moment. I never even really told him about it, so maybe I'll tell him at NADRA, another NADRA award or something like that. But
Sure,
just
sure.
cool to see.
Yeah, because I mean, you don't know how people move. You see somebody, they sell you something, and then it turns out to be like total snake oil or something, right?
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
we are all meandering through this life and bumping into each other, and the ones that are the authentic ones, we'd want to keep a little bit closer, just because that they mean what they say and they say what they mean, and they'll be there. So um, the fact that we have that at the top level of an association in the outdoor living industry is an incredible advantage for us,
Yeah.
and so many people like they think of others as competition. Like I talk to HD Exteriors here, they're one of the bigger exterior people there. I was a subcontractor for them when I first started, and now I talk to their operations guy, and we like, I bump into him every now and then at some of these like decorator events or timber tech events. And it's just like, what's up, man? Like it's more collaboration between deck builders and what best practices can help each other improve this industry. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Because the competition's at the bottom. It just is. Like if you're competing, you're a Johnny guy in a truck driving around. That's who, you go compete with that guy. I'm not that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're going more for the higher end. Like do you have like a minimum or anything like that? Your job size?
Not, well, not at the moment. I mean, the thing is that it's for us. We started in May of 2022, right? So we're a little bit younger, I'll say, but we're still we have major capability. I mean, our capabilities range anywhere from repair and maintenance. Like if someone just has some rotted boards and wants to get it looked at, I'll come take a look. I can have somebody come out and replace some boards, whatever fits their budget, and then do a safety inspection as well. NADRA provides the deck safety
Yep.
stuff, which is very valuable, very valuable. So I'm able to use that to say, hey, let me do some framing reinforcement or help you get at least 3 to 5 years more out of this deck, because it just depends on like people's motives. We deal with a lot of property managers, real estate agents, people that are just trying to sell the place or get it where it's safe for a tenant to be on, right? So we go everywhere from repair and maintenance all the way up to design build. I mean, we partner with other design firm like Scapes, right? Or I can have our guy Mauricio do a 3D design build. I can have the video with the crickets, showing you what the pool's going to look like in the background. We can do all that, everything from grading, pulling permits, anything. We're an RBC, residential building contractor, Class A in Virginia, and it gives us the ability to destroy and rebuild as much as we want.
Nice. Nice. So going to well, actually, I wanted to talk about this too, because I've looked at your website and was checking that out. I saw you put and this was unique. I've never really seen anybody do this, and it's got me thinking, for clients that we work with, but putting the winner of the national deck in the header of the website. I thought that was pretty clever. Was that your
Yeah.
thinking, or was that the
Nah,
marketing?
that's me. Nah, that's me. Nah. I mean, most of the great ideas come from me, Alex. Right? I mean, I tell my web guy to do that, and we'll talk about what my setup is and everything, right? But I tell my web guy, hey, this is what I want, and he just does it,
Yeah,
So
it's a good idea.
yeah, yeah. And the very first picture is the rooftop deck. So that's the
Yeah.
project I won. Yeah.
Yeah, I always and when we talk after this, you'll learn out all about how I go about this. But when you have I always am preaching, put the phone number, make a big phone number in the header that always follows you around. So no matter where you are on the website, you can contact them. I like the idea of having that on there too, and something I'm going to be thinking about because then you have, proof of your legitimacy sitting right next to the phone number. I think that I'd be curious to see doing some A/B testing to see how that helps with conversions. But
Absolutely,
want to mention
absolutely,
that.
yeah.
I thought that was pretty brilliant.
Oh yeah, no, we got a lot of work to do, man. It's not we've been able to we've been able to generate the leads necessary to equal the growth, but there's more that could be done. I mean, when you're building, this inbound lead generation machine, there's going to be, as you know, right? I'm not saying anything you don't know. I mean, there's just a lot of components that go into it.
Yep.
There's like 100 subsections of the search engine optimization that can be optimized, right? We can talk about Google ads and local service ads and how those can be then optimized, right? Because we could be spending the money on it and then it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing because it's not optimized, same with the Facebook ads. And then also having the bandwidth to handle what leads are coming in, right? So, we're putting together our outside sales teams this year as well. But, I want to be able to, turn a faucet on or off when it comes for these warm leads that are swimming towards us, because I'm not selling to anybody. Nobody's getting sold anything from Valer Builders. You will buy something from me if it fits,
Yeah.
if there's synergy.
I like that a lot, and I think I go about that the same way. You have a background in sales. I never thought I would make a sale. Like I never even like I came as like a software engineer programmer. So
Yeah.
I tell everybody I'm like I don't even like I guess I am a salesman. I'm like kind of forced to do it because that's just what's needed for the business. But I like legitimately don't know how to be a salesman. I just exactly what you said. I'll literally show what I found and then show what I would recommend. And if that's something that works, then great. If not, no hard feelings. Or if it's something this happens often too, like it's just not a fit for what we do, or it's not even what I would recommend. So, marketing agencies can push themselves into a bad corner by like anybody and everybody. Yeah, do this, like cookie cutter approach. And then, it might be a bit of a stretch to pay for it. And then they get mad or, the expectations are not clearly stated in the beginning and then it ends up hurting your business. So, I mean, that's kind of when you told me that, that's how I like to think I do it. I guess people could tell me differently, but that's how I think I go about it. Just being like, this is what I would recommend. This is what I would do if I were you. And, if it makes sense, it makes sense. Otherwise, no hard feelings. I'll still, point you in the right direction or help any way I can.
Well, yeah, like I mean, most of the time I'm just I don't feel like I'm ever pushing somebody towards a close or anything, and I hope nobody feels that way. But you know, I I can provide services and basically um, a full shop stop when it comes to your outdoor living needs. So, I have my contractors that'll come in and build the decks perfectly every single time. There is no question about if there's moisture barrier tape or if anything's getting flashed or blocked out or like what I mean. Like these
Yeah.
aren't subcontractors that I don't know. These people have been to my they were at my wedding. These are people that I know where they live. Right. These are people that I've worked with for a long time. Right. So I've got like a bunch of crews that do the decks, my masonry work, right? I've got two crews that are just like close to me too, like good guys. I'd call them if they were sick. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
they're my guys. So there's a lot of moving parts, and there's a bunch of different contractors that specialize in different things. I'm not going to have my deck builders pouring a patio, right? Um, my lighting guys, my electrician coming in and doing things. I mean, there's a whole system that's in place within Valer Builders on the back end from a production level that keeps everybody informed in place, keeps everybody on the same page as far as what the expectations are, what the full scope of work is. Our proposals are extremely detailed with even measurements, down to measurements too, just because then I can take the said proposal that the client agreed to, and then I can just turn that into a work order. And then all the information is there. picture framing it in, everything. So my guys don't ever have to, or my project manager never has to really, call up the sales guy. He can just be like, yeah, it's all here. I can read, right? It's
Yeah.
just about getting people to like just read what's there, right, and just do what it
What do
is.
you use for that? What
Well, we have it.
software?
We have Job Tread. We're
I
partnered
I
with
knew
Job.
I figured
Yeah,
you were
you
gonna say
already knew.
that.
You already know. Yeah, you
Yeah.
already know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we partner with Job Tread, which is incredible, very scalable CRM. I would highly recommend any remodeler to do it. I've actually
Yeah.
referred them to some of my other remodeler friends, and now they're like, hey, so like asking me questions about what I'm doing with my Job
Yeah.
Tread. So it's
Yeah, there's an
awesome.
episode with Eric Fortenberry, if anybody's interested. It's one of the earlier episodes, the CEO of JobTread. He goes into some detail on that. He's a great guy too. I see JobTread everywhere I go. I feel like I know their business is booming and they take care of everybody. They're a great company too.
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to Bobby, my customer guy over at Job Tread.
Nice.
He's a good dude, man. I saw him at the Pool and Deck Expo. Like I went to Dallas
Okay.
with the
Yeah,
Pool
I
and
was
Deck
there.
Expo. Yeah, yeah. So I went with Greg O'Donovan. He's the owner of the Deck and Fence Depot. It's a
Okay.
distributor out of Gainesville and Bealton. We get about 90% of our building material from Greg and Henry and the people over there, which are awesome. A lot of our Timber Tech guys, Ben, my Timber Tech rep, who got me into Timber Tech. We became a platinum partner this year. It's been an
Nice. Awesome.
incredible partnership. I'd highly recommend Timber Tech partnerships. They're amazing on their warranties. I personally have not had a issue with them or their products. I mean, they're the 800-pound gorilla in the room.
Yeah.
They're awesome for a reason. So, but yeah, we were at the Pool and Deck Expo, and you see somebody on Zoom because they're in Texas, so you see somebody on Zoom so much, and then you see them in person, you're like, oh man, So it was awesome, man. I got to stand at the booth and kind of talk to some of the other prospective clients that were there, and kind of give a little bit of a testimonial of what it's done for me and my
Yeah.
company. So it was great.
We probably walked by each other multiple times. Did you go to their like dinner, the Timber Tech like happy hour thing that they did?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we're in the same room then.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
um,
dude. No, those
yeah.
guys over at Timber Tech are awesome. Who's the big guy? Real big guy.
I
Jake?
forget his
Jake?
name. I
I
know.
think it's Jake.
Yeah, yeah. I can't remember. I do know you're talking about though.
Jake, if you're out there, you know who you are.
mm, yeah, I know we're friends on Instagram. I'll have to look it up. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
those guys are awesome, man. Really care
yeah,
about their people too. I mean, even sitting there at dinner, Greg was there and he walks away and they're there just talking about his business and just like I mean, Greg is opening up locations. He's going to become a bigger distributor over the course of the next 3 to 5 years. Like he's
nice.
definitely on that radar. Like it's cool that it feels like there's like real partnerships. When it
Yeah,
comes to like especially with Timber Tech for sure.
yeah, yeah.
These
Absolutely.
distributors, yeah.
All right. Well, we're kind of getting towards the end here. I mean, is there anything you'd like to add before we kind of wrap things up? Anything?
No, I mean, of course, I really appreciate you, Alex,
Yeah,
and
likewise.
inviting me on this podcast. It's been a great experience, and yeah, man, wish you all the best, man. I hope you get a lot of followers and help improve this industry with all of us too.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and that's really all it is. I don't even look at. I mean, I know we get a good amount of followers, but I really don't know the numbers. It's just, I mean, episodes like this, anybody that I think would benefit fence or deck industries will bring somebody on. I have fun with it. It's fun just talking. It's over Zoom. It's easy. It's light. That kind of thing. So I enjoy doing it. I appreciate you coming on here and going forward with the Fence and Deck Mastery podcast. We'll be got a lot of good episodes coming up and a lot of other award winners. When we reached out to some award winners, a lot of them were interested in it. So it's been fun just talking exactly like this. And based off of what I've heard, people seem to like it and get some value from it and just learning kind of about the process and NADRA and all that stuff and just hearing from other successful deck builders. So But if it is helpful, it does help us a lot if you can leave a review and subscribe to the podcast. It's pretty easy to do and just doesn't take too long. So if you don't mind doing that. And we're getting close to the busy season. The warmer climates, I guess, are always busy, but around where we are, the busy season kicks up in the spring, and we're getting very, very close to March. So if anybody has any questions about their marketing or ways that they can improve it to get ready for the new year, feel free to reach out to us. Our website's deckfencemarketers.com. And you can follow us on all the social media channels too. We're on everything there. And yeah, that's about it. Dan, again, appreciate you coming on here. And yeah, we'll be talking after this about some fun marketing stuff.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care.